Okay, so this is a highly anticipated sequel, and this is my opinion on it. From reviews I've seen so far, this is by no means an unpopular opinion or a hot take or anything like that, but I still want to say my stuff about it, because I can, and that's what I'm gonna do. Spoilers. So, okay, we start off with the Underminer guy, right? Well, okay, we don't even start off there. We start off with Tony Reidinger telling us about the event, and he's way twinkier than he was in the first movie, which I guess is a design choice, but like, you know, whatever. But it's him getting his memory wiped, and because he stupidly saw Violet stupidly take off her mask. Which, first of all, Violet learned in the first movie that her identity was her most valuable possession, so even in a fit of anger, I doubt she would take off her mask in a public place. So that's just stupid. Secondly, Tony saw her in her super suit, but he didn't actually see her do anything outstandingly super other than using her force fields a little bit. Which, like, yeah, obviously she's super, but like, she wasn't doing any superhero work, really, just her family was. So I feel like it wasn't that big of a deal as the movie made it out to be. And then immediately later, the movie makes its ideals pretty clear. Like, feminist agenda-wise, which is fantastic. Love it. Or I would if this movie didn't do such a shitty job of it. Like, immediately it's like, Helen is the best face for the superhero comeback campaign, which, like, yeah, of course. But then it also forces Mr. Incredible to be this crappy misogynistic straw man who refuses to believe his wife is better than him, but that doesn't go anywhere either. They just immediately drop it after Elastigirl starts doing her thing. And so, okay, before Elastigirl gets to start doing her cool actiony stuff, you meet two siblings. Their names are Dever 1 and Dever 2. I forgot their names, but their last names were Dever, so you have Girl Dever and you have Boy Dever. Girl Dever, like, the instant you see her, it's like, oh, that's a lesbian. Like, you know. She's got the disaster lesbian look and not the chill and the pessimistic vibe, and she's gay coded and like, blah, 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 she's gay. But like, and you think, and she's kind of like, she has the design aspects that you would expect from a villain, but that's because a lot of villains in Disney Pixar movies are gay-coded a lot of the time. So you think, hey, it's 2018, she's probably just gay, and it's probably just my perceptions after being raised on Disney Pixar movies thinking that she's a villain just because she's gay. Because she's a really obvious lesbian, like, really obvious. But guess what? She's a villain! Like, the main villain of the whole thing. They spend the whole movie with her subtly pointing out misogynistic traits of society and having Helen agree with her, but, like, the way they treat it, she's pointing out all this misogynistic stuff, but that's supposed to, like, turn you to the point that she's evil, like, feminist ideals are evil somehow. And then at the very end of the movie, when she's revealed to be the villain, it's like, oh yeah, everything she was saying is totally void now, because, like, all her things were being made from a villain's perspective, so now all the misogyny she pointed out is now void. Which is ridiculous, and, like, for a movie that's trying really hard to be really, like, feminist and forward and stuff, for them to go and do that is something so stupid that I feel like they could have done such a better job with. And it's like, okay. And then there's another really obvious lesbian, and that's Void. I love her, she's perfect, she's never done anything wrong in her life, and I would die for her. And she's, like, her power is that she's Kirogiri, but a white girl, and, so she can, like, make portals and stuff and, like, do that. She's Portal Gun. And she's really dope, and she is introduced, and she's like, oh, I'm Elastigirl's biggest fan, I'm so happy to meet you, I looked up to you so much as a super growing up. And, like, she hugs her, and it's really cute, and it's, like, obvious that she has the cute little girl crush on her, and it's adorable. But then, like, they never revisit it, and later on, Helen and Elastigirl and Void and Elastigirl are having a conversation, and Helen cuts her off and says, hey, can you excuse me for a minute? And then they never talk again. Like, Void goes up to her in earnest and is trying to get advice from her top favorite hero, someone she's admired her whole life, and she brushes her off, and then they never talk again. And it makes me so upset because there's so much potential for Void to have that they just completely ignored. And it made me so mad because I love Void, and she was, like, the only reason I wanted to see the movie in the first place. But, yeah, and so all the supers they introduced, other than, like, the main 5 or 6 or so, they were, like, none of them matter. They were just they were caricatures of their own superpowers. They didn't really have any depth or anything. They were just caricatures. Like, that's like what I said. And it's ridiculous because they could have been really interesting, and they could have established a really interesting universe where they, like, talk about, like, superhuman societies, like, an underground way, because, like, they have to have communities somewhere, like, honestly. And it's so frustrating that they just brush them all aside for the sake of, like, focusing on the main 6 when they could have established something really cool, like their own cinematic universe or something. It would have been dope. And they didn't do that. And then there's the major plot of the movie, this guy Screenslaver, who's actually the lesbian from before. They're building up a crazy cool villain that's, like, kind of prolific at the very beginning, but then like as the time goes on, it's like suddenly a huge problem. Like Screenslaver is still out there, but like he was only out there for like a day or so, so I don't know why you're so upset about him still being out there, because like he won the battle. I won the battle, but he's won the war, and it's like you fought him once. Not much of a war, and it's stupid. And then like it's really non-epileptic friendly also. Like there's a lot of flashing lights, like really aggressive flashing lights, not even like a little bit, like it's actually strobe lights. Like in the theater I could move my hand and like see the frames by frames. It was awful, and I kind of got lightheaded, but I'm not epileptic, so like if you're actually epileptic, please do not see this movie without like taking someone with you, and even then maybe not, because it's really unepileptic friendly. And they have the scene where Frozone and Elastigirl are on TV and they're hypnotized wearing the obvious Screenslaver glasses, and like any smart person with 2 brain cells left could see that they were being hypnotized, because they were wearing masks, they're talking not like themselves, and they're saying things completely against their ideals. Like, so obviously you look at that and say, oh, that's Screenslaver's doing, because obviously, yeah, we're not stupid. We know that it's Screenslaver's doing. But, like, everyone in the movie is just like, oh, well, I guess superheroes are villains now. That's just how it is. Like, everyone just accepts it, and it's ridiculous. It's stupid. Ah!